You hit the power button on your computer and nothing. Just dead silence. We've all been there, and that single moment of panic is just awful. But hey, don't worry, we're going to walk through this together, step by step. It's a truly horrible feeling, right? That familiar hum is just gone. The screen is a black mirror, and you suddenly realize your work, your photos, pretty much your whole life feels like it's trapped in a dead plastic box. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It feels like it's all gone. But here's the thing, feeling like it's lost and it actually being lost are two totally different things. Most of the time, this is fixable. So let's trade in that panic for a solid plan. Okay, so before we can even think about fixing the problem, we gotta understand it. See, not booting isn't just one thing. It's really a whole category of symptoms, and each symptom is a clue that's gonna point us in the right direction. So, our first mission, should we choose to accept it, is to become a detective. We need to pay close attention to exactly how the computer is failing, because that specific symptom is what tells us where to even begin looking for a fix. So, have a look at this list. Which one of these sounds like what you're dealing with right now? Is it completely dead, with no signs of life at all? Or maybe it turns on, but then just keeps restarting over and over. Maybe you're stuck on the manufacturer's logo, or you're getting some kind of weird error message. Figuring out which of these is your situation is the first real step forward. All right, before we start grabbing screwdrivers or digging into complex software, let's start with the absolute basics. Seriously, these are the quick and easy checks that solve a shocking number of these problems. This is what I like to call the please let it be this simple part of the process. Let's just run through these 5 checks right now. First, check your cables. I mean it. Unplug them and plug them back in. Maybe even try a different wall outlet. If you've got a laptop, take the battery out and try running it just on the power cord. Got another charger you can borrow? Try it. Next, unplug everything else, your printer, any USB drives, all of it. And finally, with everything unplugged, just hold that power button down for a good 15 seconds. You'd be amazed how often one of these simple things is the culprit. Okay, so if those quick checks didn't do the trick, don't lose hope. We've just reached our first major fork in the road. At this point, your problem almost certainly falls into one of 2 big categories, and knowing which one is key. So which path are you on? Is your computer completely dead? Like a paperweight, no lights, no fan sounds, nothing. That's scenario 1. Or, do you hear the fan spin up? Do the lights turn on, but it just never makes it to the Windows desktop? That's scenario 2. This difference is everything. If you're in scenario 1, absolutely no power, we are almost certainly hunting for a hardware problem. Most of the time, it's a busted power supply or a dead laptop charger. But it could also be a bad battery, a power cable that's come loose inside the case, or, worst case scenario, damage from a power surge. Now, if you're in scenario 2, where it powers on but never loads, that points us in a completely different direction. Here, we're probably dealing with a software glitch, like some corrupted Windows files. Or it could be a problem with your hard drive or SSD, the place where all your stuff is stored. So, if your problem does sound like it's software related, I have some good news. Windows actually has its own built-in set of emergency tools. You don't need a special disk or anything, you just have to know how to get to them. It's called the Windows Recovery Environment, or WinRE for short, and you can honestly think of it as a little emergency room for your computer. If Windows fails to start up properly a few times in a row, it's smart enough to automatically launch this recovery mode to help you out. Inside this digital repair shop, you've got 3 main tools. First up is Startup Repair. Always try this one first. It's an automatic tool that tries to find and fix common issues on its own. If that doesn't work, you've got System Restore, which is basically a time machine. It can take your computer's system files back to a time when it was working fine. And finally, there's Safe Mode, which starts Windows with just the bare essentials. It's a great way to figure out if a new program or driver you installed is causing the problem. Okay, so we've covered the simple stuff and the built-in software fixes. But, one of the most important skills in fixing anything is knowing your own limits and knowing when it's time to call for backup. So what are the big red flags? If you turn on your computer and hear a weird series of beeps, that's not random. That's actually a secret code from your motherboard telling you exactly what piece of hardware has failed. Also, if your hard drive isn't even showing up in the BIOS, that's the computer's most basic level. Or if you've tried all the software fixes and you're still stuck, it's time to stop. And this right here is absolutely critical. Continuing to mess with a computer that has a serious hardware problem can easily turn a repairable issue into permanent, unrecoverable data loss.
If you've hit this wall, the safest and smartest thing you can do for your data is call a professional.
A computer that refuses to boot is basically a fire drill. It's incredibly stressful, but once you get through it, and you will, it leaves you with a really important question. Technology will always, eventually, fail. The real lesson here is to ask yourself, are my important files backed up and ready for the next time it happens?